And I am your 7-minute sensei, where I attempt to explain everything that you need to know in 7 minutes or less. This is test preparation time, so this video may go past 7 minutes. If you are going to be taking the entrepreneurship exam, this video is for you. You'll notice up to my left here, there is a code. Go to precisionexams.com/Utah and you type in that code. The code for entrepreneurship is JPMLN2BV. This is for entrepreneurship, period B1. Okay. Now, having said that, let's just go to the Utah State Standards and Standards for Entrepreneurship. Let's take a look at this document here and find out more about the class that you're supposed to take. Hopefully, in this class, that you gain an understanding of the marketing and management principles necessary to start and operate your own business. You should have developed an awareness of the opportunities for starting a small business, ownership, and developing the planning skills needed to open a small business. You, as a student, should become aware of the traits and characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. Students will gain an awareness of knowledge needed to research, plan, and understand the regulations that are affecting the small business world and the means of financing a small business. You understand specific strategies for business management, marketing, and economics, and the role of the entrepreneur in the market system. Entrepreneurship is designed for students enrolled in business and marketing education and or other courses who have an interest in developing the skills, attitudes, knowledge necessary for successful entrepreneurs. One thing that would probably be a good idea is go to the very end of this document where you could see what is going to be required to earn 80% on your exam and earn a certificate. For the entrepreneurship exam, you see that this test has 53 points, 46 questions. I would probably plan on about 1 minute per question. Pace yourself that way. Some of you, I realize that some of you will be finishing much faster. Please take your time, do your best before, don't just blow off the test, okay? In strand number 5, that's the most important strand as far as points. You can earn up to 14 points in strand 4. And strand 2 and 4, there you'll find 10 points available for each of those strands. Okay? Let's start out with strand number 1. Strand number 1. In this strand, you as a student should identify the role and characteristics of an entrepreneur. You examine the benefits and risks related to entrepreneurship activity in the economy. Standard 1, students will explore the role of the entrepreneur within the economy. There are many things that the roles of the entrepreneur. I like to sum it up this way. There are 4 factors of production. There is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Or said a different way, there are natural resources, human resources, capital, and entrepreneurship. It's the role of the entrepreneur to practice entrepreneurship, which is the management of these scarce resources and how you can possibly do more with less. As an entrepreneur, you should be aware of many government resources that are available. Government organizations such as the Small Business Development Corporation, and that is SBDC. SBA stands for the Small Business Administration. SCORE, it is this core of retired executives and that's put together by the SBA, and there's entrepreneurs, former entrepreneurs or business people that can help you. And then GoEd is the Governor's Office for Economic Development. You should understand that government offers incentives sometimes to entrepreneurs. And we watched a video about an enterprise zone and how there might be tax incentives for small business people to develop property, develop businesses in those specific areas. Your performance skill, you should understand the advantages and disadvantages of being an entrepreneur and understand the successes and failures that people have had. Workplace skills, you must understand how to be a critical thinker, do deeper thinking, problem solving. In strand number 2, students will identify problems and create solutions in order to address consumers' needs and wants. In standard 1, students will understand the idea of generation through innovation and problem solving. So you see an example of the lean canvas here in this picture. I'll scroll in a little bit more so we can see that better. The first step is to identify a problem. Identify a problem, a want or need, an unmet want or need that consumers have. Once you have identified that problem, step 2 is to identify your target customer. Who is your target customer, your target segments? In this area here, you would maybe look at your geographic segmentation. Maybe you're only going to sell in the United States, or maybe you do sell globally, but identify your target segment. Step 3, you must offer a unique value proposition. What is it you do? What is it in essence that you do? And how does that make you any different than anyone else who might compete in that space? Number 4 is solutions. And generally when I think of the solutions, this is an analogy. This is a metaphor, if you will. So I've often said, you could say we are the Mexican restaurant, the Panda Express of Mexican restaurants, or the Panda Express of Italian food. So you try to draw a little bit of analogy so your pitch, your business idea is more relevant, relatable, easier to understand. And you see the other steps. We go to 5, which is what is your unfair advantage. What makes you be able to compete against anybody. That's your competitive advantage. Number 6 would be revenue streams. How do you anticipate that you'll make money? 7, your cost structures. What are some of your cost expenses that you're anticipating? And then number 8 is key metrics. These are your KPIs, your key performance indicators. These are the things that at the end of the day, you have determined are those things that matter most. We use KPIs to measure the success of our venture. And then channels, number 9 is channels. And this is our channels of distribution. How does the product get from its initial manufacturing? How do you even source the materials that you need to distributing your products, shipping your products through air, through land, through sea, and so forth. Got it? All right, next step, we were looking at standard 2, and this is where we talk briefly about minimum viable product. So if you're looking at an MVP, or minimum viable product, you're looking at a prototype or a model of what your product or service may be. And this is when you're giving your pitch. You want to be able to make your idea a little bit more concrete. And this is a minimum viable product. And then UVP is unique value proposition. Performance skills, we want to go through at least steps 1 through 5, understand those steps in the lean canvas. Moving on, so workplace skills, critical skills in problem solving. Strand number 3, students will understand how economic concepts affect decision making in an entrepreneurial venture. Here in standard 1, you must understand basic economic terminology. So you have to understand, how do we come up with something called supply and demand? And what does the supply and demand curve look like? By the way, a demand curve is downward sloping, and there is an inverse relationship between your price and demand. Generally speaking, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, if you increase your price, demand will go down. If you decrease your price, demand has a good possibility that it will go up. Other concepts as far as economics is the law of scarcity. We live in a world with scarce or limited goods, and then you also need to know about imports and exports. So you as a small business person, you may be importing products, supplies from another country. You might have to pay tariffs. There are some economic consequences of importing. From an economic perspective, imports aren't the greatest for the national GDP or gross domestic product. So that's just a heads up there. In Strand 4, students will understand how marketing affects the entrepreneurial venture. Strand 1, students will understand marketing functions. You'll understand the 4 Ps. They are product, price, promotion, place. Product, price, promotion, place. You may learn them in a different order, and that's perfectly fine, but know there are 4 Ps. Then you must understand the advantages and disadvantages of locations, okay, for your business. Do you want to do your business in a brick and mortar store? Do you want to just go exclusively online? What are the advantages of each of those? How would your business work if you were working out of a virtual office? In Standard 2, students will evaluate promotional mix. So there are many things that can factor into a promotional mix. We do everything from advertising, personal selling, billboards, social media, many ways that we can do our educational or product awareness. Other things that you need to know in this area, understand, have some idea how social media works, other platforms that you can use to increase the awareness and knowledge of your product. You must understand digital analytics, customer metrics. So if you're using social media and you send out 100,000 pieces of email and only 1,000 people even respond to that message, then you may need to go back to the drawing board and identify a more specific target audience, an audience that might find the information that you're sending just a little bit more relevant. Okay. In this section, we also talk to you about lifetime value of the customer. So the lifetime value of the customer, I believe in class, we talked about how shoppers could be using Reams, and they might shop at Reams once a week. There are 52 weeks in a year, and maybe every week they spend $100. So 52 weeks times $100 is $5,200. And in its very simplest form, that could be a simple lifetime value of the customer calculation. Your performance skills are to understand key metrics and the channel of distribution. Your workplace skills, critical thinking, problem solving, communications, and network. In Strand 5, students will understand financial concepts and tools used by entrepreneurs in making business decisions. Strand 1 or Standard 1, students will examine financial concepts and types of funding used to operate a business. So you've got your startup costs. You might do some bootstrapping. Your startup costs include everything from your variable expenses to your fixed expenses, or your fixed costs, your operational expenses, your anticipated income, net profit, gross profit, break even. Okay. So in this section, you'll learn about some of the financial statements that are probably important for you to know as an entrepreneur. There are different ways that you can raise money to start your business, everything from getting a small business loan to receiving a grant, bootstrapping your business, or doing a IPO and selling equity in your company. You can also use investors, angel investors, crowd sources, crowdfunding, credit lines, and so forth. So there's numerous ways, and you kind of have to figure out at this moment what is the best route for you to take. In Standard 2, we look at how you as a student will understand how entrepreneurs utilize business records. So in the example of where somebody's gone, somebody either left the company or they died or something like that, and you had to find some records to file taxes and so forth, you better have a good organization, a system in place to know where you can find these vital records that you need for your necessary, essential government reports. There are many ways that we keep our records. We can use a point-of-sale system, which can help us keep our records. There you might use tools like Square, and you can build a e-commerce type website using Square, PayPal, Venmo, and Apple Pay. So all of these would work, assuming they would have access. All of these would work, assuming you have access to the technology that you need, the files that you need, the applications that you need. Okay? Moving on, performance skills. We want to help you learn, and I think you learn how to do a cash flow budget analysis. You want to do show your revenue streams and your expenses as well. So you're in a cash flow analysis. You want to document your inputs and your outputs, your inflows and your outflows, and putting all that together will help you in your financial management of your business. Workplace skills, critical thinking, problem solving, computational skills, and communication skills. Finally, well, not finally, but strand 6, students will understand the role of management principles in entrepreneurial ventures. Students will discuss the importance of goal setting for an entrepreneurial venture, mission, vision, and also values, known as mission, vision, and values. When you're looking at a mission statement, it often is either confused or often substituted for what's called a purpose statement. A mission statement should answer, why do you exist? Why do you wake up every day to run this business? What is your mission, your purpose? And then also, you need to understand a vision statement. A vision statement is much more aspirational. So it's not like why we exist, what is our purpose, but our vision statement is sort of the big idea. It is your vision of the future. So it's highly aspirational. Create an organization structure, develop job descriptions for positions. If you were to create a position for a analyst, how much would that analyst make? What is their job description? What do they do? Who do they report to? All this information is embedded inside that job description. Strand number 7, students will analyze how forms of business, ownerships, governments, regulations, legal regulations affect entrepreneurial ventures. So in this section, we learn about 4 different types of ways you can start a business. There are actually more than 4, but the ones that you need to understand are sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, partnership, LLC, or limited liability corporation, nonprofit. And there is something called a subchapter S and subchapter C, business corporations. So you probably need to understand that as well. I would probably remember S stands for, think in your mind, S, small. So if you have a small company, relatively few employees, there actually is a ceiling. Beyond that number, you could not start an S corporation. But a lot of small businesses that want to control or manage liability will start an S corporation. In Standard 1, students will compare and contrast the advantages and disadvantages of different types of business ownership. In Standard 2, students will understand government and legal regulations that affect entrepreneurial ventures. And here you'll learn more about some of the licensing that you'll need that are required How do you file a patent, a copyright, or a trademark? So if you want the McDonald's, golden arches, you need to understand somebody owns that trademark, and that's not something you can duplicate. Moving on, that would be it. We've got some performance skills. You should be able to create a business and promotion plan. You should understand a little bit about FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, and DECA. Create your own innovation plan. It is not difficult, and don't do anything terribly long, but if you know some executives, you might want to reach out to them and ask them if it would be all right if you sent an example, a prototype of what is it you feel like you ought to be doing. Workplace skills are critical thinking skills, and as the document says, it's a little bit dated, but the document says, what else can I do for you? Okay, so that is it, folks. Again, you want to focus on strand number 5, number 2, and number 4. So 2, 4, 5. Those are the strands that you will earn, you have the ability to earn the most possible points. Hey, this is Mr. Liu, and I am your 7-Minute Sensei, saying good luck on the test.